Business is brought to you by Audible.com.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Married with a Business. I'm Craig.
And I'm Allison.
And we're Married with a Business. We're here to share tips, tricks, stories about what it's like to be a married couple that own and operate a business together. I know it's been a little bit, but we're back for a new season. Excited about that.
Yeah, new season, new year. Our team took some time off over the holidays to rest, recoup, be with family. So did you do anything fun?
We took some time off, too.
We did. We went on a big adventure.
Big adventure. So we went to Hawaii. Never been.
Never been. Thank you to my mother-in-law.
Yeah, we were told that once the kids reached a certain age that the gift for us for Christmas one year was going to be going to Hawaii. So she took us to Hawaii, all of us. It was a blast. It was 9 awesome days. Travel was a little rough.
Travel from Boston to Hawaii is tough, but we did it. We persevered, and your mom hasn't flown since before COVID and has never flown with us. So getting her folded into our system, and our kids they've traveled enough that they have a system and they don't like it when other families don't.
Right. So, but it was great. Like, if you've never been, we went to Oahu. It was beautiful. The weather's there. So obviously it's amazing, especially coming from the Northeast and then going to Hawaii. But like beautiful. We rented a Jeep. That was very exciting for me. I was excited to have a Jeep that took top off a couple times, drove around.
Yeah, we got to take the kids to Pearl Harbor, which was great. They were respectful. They dressed appropriately. They behaved appropriately, which, some adults didn't, so they were angry when adults didn't.
And also really cool, Pearl Harbor. If you're ever there, make sure you go to the Pearl Harbor Aviation Museum.
Yeah.
We weren't going to go, and then I was texting with a friend of mine, and he's like, oh, I know somebody who is the CEO there. And so we get there, and awesome opportunity for the kids. They got to spend a few minutes and meet with the CEO, John Hiltz, who
is also a former Blue Angel.
Was able to talk to the kids about that and some of the planes in the museum. It was really good. We almost slept on it. We almost skipped it, and then we decided at the last minute we wanted to go, and so glad we did. Plus, if you ever go to Pearl Harbor, they have the best gift shop.
They have the best gift shop. They have a great place to get food. I think it's like the hidden gem of Pearl Harbor. It's like the afterchild, I think, in a lot of people. And it was the kids' favorite part of being in Hawaii.
I will tell you, I do have to say, so my favorite part of being in Hawaii, so my birthday was while we were in Hawaii. So on my birthday, I said, I want to go to the North Shore and see the surfers and have a acai bowl and eat off some of the food trucks. But what I really wanted to do was golf. So we went, the 4 of us, you and the boys, went golfing with me in Hawaii, which was amazing.
My second time golfing.
It was, I have to tell you, that was one of my favorite parts of Hawaii. It was so much fun. The 4 of us I had so much fun with the 4 of us.
Oh, good. I liked getting a drink off the little golf cart lady who drove around and got Kez drinks.
Allison learned that there is a cart girl who will come around and feed you drinks on the golf course. She did not know that.
That was fun.
That was fun for her. The boys had a really good time because we let them drive the golf carts a lot. So they had
don't tell anybody.
We weren't supposed to do that. We broke the rules, but they had a really good time doing that. So that was probably the highlight. One of the highlights for me was getting to go play golf with you guys in Hawaii. The 4 of us had a good time.
Thank you. We enjoyed being able to do that for you for your birthday.
So yeah, it was good. But I will say, most years, Allison, we take that week between Christmas and New Year's off. We don't work. We usually stay around the house. We get some stuff done. We get prepared for the new year. This year, we literally flew back. We got back late on Saturday. We were pretty jet lagged, slept most of the day Sunday, and then went back to work Monday.
Yeah, we are racing into 2026.
We were. It was crazy. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today is racing together as a team, which was what this year's team meeting was about.
Yeah, so if you've been listening to the show, you might know that every fall I put together kind of a one-day off-site meeting for our team. And it's a chance to kind of review the year. I always pick an educational topic, something that's going to kind of hopefully inspire everybody to, learn something and get geared up for the next year. And then we kind of do a workshop of different versions of what's working, what's not. We've done SWOT analysis as a team. We've done friction. This time we talked a lot about challenges in teamwork and like where in our process what's hard for different people. So like what's hard for estimating, what's hard for sales. But other departments had to think about, if I'm a bookkeeper, what might be hard for the project managers, and kind of talk about those things.
Yeah, and I mean, it came from there's a couple of things. Like, one is that we asked everybody on the team like what they would like to talk about. So teamwork was one of the things that kept coming up. And as the company's grown, and we definitely have had each department has grown a little bit. So it used to be we were all in the same space, and so now it's like there's a production department, they have their own meetings, and there's a sales and design department, and they have their own meetings. So I think people started to feel that over the last year and a half, 2 years, we not that we've gotten disjointed, but we've segmented the company a little bit more, because we have so many people that it's harder to do one big team meeting every week. And
it's easier to blame other people. Well, if estimating would just do this, production wouldn't have these problems, without thinking about what's hard for estimating. Like, you guys think it's so easy, you do it, right, kind of thing.
And so that was kind of what what kind of influenced us to focus on the teamwork. And then the racing the head together pit crew kind of teamwork idea came from every year we look for a theme, and we want to have that theme be fun. So like, we've done pieces of the puzzle in the past, and we've had the guys put puzzles together. We did building. Obviously, we're a remodeling company. We had them build Legos as a team building thing. This year, we had a couple things. We had slot cars there, so they could have a little slot. We took our kids' slot car track, and they had a little slot car. They could have little slot car races. And then, Allison, you had them do like a team building.
Yeah, so we broke them up into teams, and they had to design and build. We're a design build company. Design and build a race car, and then we had people from the place that was hosting us come in and judge it. And it was so interesting, because I tried to make sure that the project managers weren't together and the admin people weren't together. So there was somebody from every department in the three groups, and to see with the same directions the vastly different areas and ways they went. And like, some people went super detailed and literal, and some people went big and fun.
Yeah, it was interesting, but it was a good opportunity to have them, have some team building working together. So, but talking specifically, Allison, about like what we were trying to talk about when we did the, we are racing ahead together, teamwork like a pit crew.
Well, a pit crew is a great analogy, because everybody's role is important, no matter how small the role is. If you don't get that bolt on or off quickly, correctly, it doesn't matter what everybody else did, right? And so I think when we work as a team, either on the football field or on the remodeling company or in whatever your company is, everybody's role is important, no matter how small it is. And if one person isn't executing well, nobody can execute well.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about like how pace is important, right? With working together too. Like, we talked about, in a pit crew, everybody's got everything is timing, right? You have to, the guy has to be there ready to pull the tire off, and the next guy has to be ready to put the tire on. They have to be prepared. So we talked a lot about like how that sort of works into our systems as well as a company, of like making sure everybody understands, okay, here's how long we're expecting the design process to take. Here's when we want to be able to start the project. So being able to work together across departments so that we're on schedule and on time with each other.
Yeah, and understanding that definite beginning and that definite end, and what has to happen in between those two things.
And then we also really wanted to focus on like a lot of the parallels in the communication styles between like a pit crew and any other work environment, and about how like there has to be clear communication between us, as owners, or the race car driver, hey, there's this problem, and the homeowners, hey, we want this, to the design team, to the production team. So there was a lot of conversation around like, being able to communicate clearly, how we all sort of have our specialized roles in the company. So like we talked about in a pit crew, there's the jack man, and there's the fuel guy, and there's the guy who has to do the front driver's side tire and the front passenger. Everybody has a specialized role, and then talking about how that fits into our company, so that if you're in the production department and you have a question about design, you don't need to answer that question. We have people that are specialized to answer that question.
And why having a strategy and a plan and a system is important. We spend a lot of time talking about and thinking out our plan, our map, if you will, of from design through production, including the schedule, the sequence of tasks, when we're going to do things. You and I just sat down recently and re-looked at the development process and had a spirited debate about when we're doing certain things and why we're doing them there, so that then we could update the template so that all of those action items are following in the right sequence.
Yeah, and I think that, overall the idea behind the working together as a pit crew and, and as a team was the fact that it's the client's house. We want to make sure we have a client-centric approach to everything. So I use this analogy like the house is like the race car. We actually, when we were creating our slideshow and all of our images for this, we used AI a lot. And I created this image that had the house was painted like a race car. And we talked about our process similar to the car being the centric portion of the race. The house is is the center. And the race car driver needs to be happy, just like the homeowners need to be happy. And so we talked a lot about how there's this continuing maintenance and making sure from a communication and when you're going through the project, hey, you're telling the homeowners what's going on. They're telling their issues to you and you're responding to them. So we talked a lot about the idea that, it's a client-centered approach to what we do.
And it helps smooth the process out, right? And makes the project more successful. It will help reduce everybody's stress if you're having those conversations all the time, because you're not getting blindsided with things. We're not getting blindsided with things, and the homeowners aren't getting blindsided with things. Life is hard enough, and at the end of the day, my goal is to make things as smooth as possible for my team. So if something is continually coming up, how can we fix it so we don't have to deal with this anymore? Because there's plenty of other things that are happening in our day that are stressful.
And then we really spent a lot of time talking about how to be or what makes a good teammate.
Yeah, and this was an opportunity where, again, I try to make these workshops and discussions interactive, so it's not like me talking at them. So we literally asked them, what do you think makes a good teammate? And some of the common themes that came up again and again, which we see all the time, but trying to get them to think about, are they actually doing these things? That they were reliable and accountable, that they're great communicators. They're saying, I want a teammate who communicates well. Okay. Do you think you're doing that too? Kind of having them think about those things. A lot of them talked about this time that good teammates are team first collaborators, which I thought was a really interesting point. And I think that as our team continues to get better and our culture continues to get better, we're hearing this more, that our team themselves are talking about we, not me.
Mm-hmm. And I also think that we talked a lot about being positive and being solution oriented and being helping out, being a community. And I think that we have worked really hard. We've talked about this on past shows about how we've changed our hiring process. We're hiring people that are a better cultural fit. So, which in the scheme of things, people use this phrase cultural fit. Really, picking people that like to be together or work together helps the communication, helps the teamwork, helps the collaboration in it. So culture is important. I think that, when you think about people saying, hey, we're very culture centric. We want to hire, certain people that fit into our culture. It's at the end of the day, it's really about people that are easy to communicate with each other.
Yeah. We have a new person who's getting ready to onboard, and we'll talk about that in future episodes. But when we went through the interview process, it was important that other people besides management in the team met with this person, got a good feel for them, felt like they could interact with them, talk to them, work with them. We've had people in the past that when we offboard, that's been the biggest thing. He just didn't fit in.
Right. So, for us, and then it's important for us as owners to make sure that we talk about what are some of the things that are important for us as having team members. And we say this over and over again, humble, hungry, smart. And we've talked about that a ton, as it relates from Patrick Lencioni's book, Ideal Team Player, which I know we've talked about on this show before. But it just talks about how, you need to be humble. You need to not have an ego. You need to be able to help and acknowledge your mistakes and help others when they make mistakes. Hungry, being self-motivated. And while we understand that there are certain things that motivate people, if it's pay, time off, whatever it might be,
Praise.
but also to be able to be self-motivated, to be able to say, I want to be here, I want to help make the company better. And then obviously smart. We want to surround ourselves by smart people. And that doesn't mean that you're a Harvard graduate. That just means that at the position that you're given, at what you're trying to do, that you're smart and you're trying to learn and you're a good listener and you're trying to understand and grow as a person as well.
Yeah, you're self-aware. You have some emotional intelligence.
So, we spent, I know that when we got to that, I guess, slide in the presentation when we were talking about, we spent a lot of time, talking about that. And then we finished off the presentation sort of hitting some of those things that we need to remind people sometimes in the company.
Well, so we added into our onboarding process a couple years ago, just kind of talking about that, like what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, so that we've set it in advance. We had somebody in our entree leadership group who was really struggling with, how do I go to this person and tell them they smell?
Right.
So we as a group kind of talked about like, well, how can we set that baseline? So every now and then we like to, when we're talking about what makes a good teammate, we kind of throw those onboarding slides back in. Not that anybody has that problem. Sometimes you may have people who have that problem, but just kind of so that we're having those discussions again. And it feeds back into that humble, hungry, smart, being emotionally aware of what's happening around you. So we just kind of talked about like, hey, how you come to work reflects how people perceive you and how people perceive the whole team. If you have bad breath, if you smell like cigarettes or marijuana or something like that, that's a reflection on not just you, XYZ, but everybody who you work with.
Right. And how you dress. Like in our company, we have field guys that we expect to dress one way. We have management level people that we expect to dress. And like, luckily, we're a construction company, so it's fairly laxed compared to a lot of companies.
Which means relaxed. Like, let's kind of do the basics. Don't be coming into the office with your jean shorts on and your rocker and T-shirt when you work in the office. Like, I don't mind if you wear dress shorts or, you have to look presentable. You can't come in looking like you just came out of a concert or from the bar. We say this and everybody laughs, but like the field guys need to wear shirts. We provide company shirts. We provide company T-shirts. Like, I also understand that it's hot when you do construction in the summer. You might go through a few shirts.
Yeah.
But just kind of like, this is the expectation of what is appropriate and what's not appropriate.
Well, and I think because that we are, not that we're laxed, but because it's not something that's necessarily something that we talk about every day in the company about how you dress. I think it's good every now and then to have a reminder. Hey, here's what we expect for appropriate attire in the office, in the field, etc. So Allison, we kind of went over a lot of stuff that day, talking to them, the importance of working together, being a teamwork. We showed some videos of pit crews and we talked about how they work together. We talked about how in F1 racing, it used to be that a pit stop was like 12 seconds and now it's down to whatever, like 2 seconds. And we talked about how improvement is important. But how do you feel the team felt about the presentation?
I don't know. I think they think I'm cheesy sometimes, but I feel like to keep them engaged, I have to be cheesy. I think that you sometimes get to the point where they're like, we know this. Why are we going over it again? But it's that rule of you've got to keep hitting it. So it's top of mind. Yeah, you know this, but maybe there's something you haven't thought about in a little while. Maybe we say something and you think of a specific instance where we could have done better. Or we talk a lot about, do we have a systems problem or a people problem? Now that we're talking about it as a big group, is something coming to your mind that maybe just isn't a good fit? And we literally talked about it when we got to the end, like, hey, you've heard your team. This is what your team expects. This is what we expect. I want everybody to think about, am I living up to these expectations? And not in a way we're pointing anybody out, but in a way that I'm asking them to be a little self-reflective on, as I go into the new year, as we go into this next phase, am I the teammate that I want to be working with?
Yeah, and I think when we do these team meetings, it's an all-day event, right? So we have We start at 8 a.m. We don't finish till 4. We've got a bunch of stuff that we talk about. We bring lunch in, but we got a bunch of stuff that we talk about as the day goes on. And I think that one of the things that I look at this presentation for, and we did it like I said, we've done it in previous years about talking about being the pieces of the puzzle, and this was about being a pick. Like, I think this is also to help them get their juices flowing and interacting, so that in the afternoon when we do a SWOT analysis or whatever it might be, and we talk about some of the things that we need to focus on to make us better next year, we've kind of warmed them up.
And so some of at the end of this morning workshop, literally the questions we asked for them to think about over lunchtime was, how am I using the systems to their full advantage, or am I even using the systems? In my team's eyes, am I being reliable and accountable? Am I having a system problem, or am I a problem? And am I showing that I'm a team-oriented, positive, and bringing good solutions to the team? And how could I be showing that? When we come out of this, many times with some of our managers listening and knowing that it's maybe time to make a change.
Well, yeah, right. And I think that we came out of this with our managers listening, and a month later we made a change.
Yeah.
I think we found somebody that wasn't a perfect fit, wasn't following and wasn't being a team member, and it took their direct manager the time to get that in their head, and that I think that helps. I think that helps everybody in the company understand that. Listen, it's okay if somebody's not a good fit to not have them. We don't need to we've gotten past the part as a company like holding on to people because we feel bad.
We still hold on to people too long.
But we do. Yes, that's true. But we've gotten better about not.
Yeah.
Holding on.
Well, and I've also said at this meeting, and we've known it's been time to offboard people because people have found reasons for some reason that day they don't need to be there. And my new rule is, listen, if you found a reason you don't need to be at this really important workshop that I've asked for one day, I can find reasons for you not to come back.
Right.
Like, don't bother coming back if you can't be here to work with us and have your voice heard.
I think what's really important is that you try to meet with your team, if it's once a year, if it's once a quarter, and you help them remember. It doesn't have to be like this was an hour-long presentation interaction. We had, there was a lot of other stuff. We had them fill out, like you said, the sort of reflection notes. And I think that it's important to make sure that you remind, even if you have a good team, even if you're like, man, we are a great team.
We have a great team.
We have a great team, but we need to remind them the pieces and parts, like how we became a great team.
But I think this is one of the ways we do it. This one day a year where we just step away from all of the other crazy. And my challenge as the facilitator is sometimes they bring in this very specific thing that's happening right now and trying to get them to move past that.
Right.
And so in some ways I love this day. In some ways I know we're going to go into this and they're going to waste so much time on this thing because that's what's eating at them right now.
Right. And as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we're always thinking big picture. Like we're not always, but like our focus is more big picture, is more long term. And I think sometimes everything, like you said, everything is just like, oh, this is the problem right now.
But it's also good to give them a venue to work out those feelings. So I have to take days like this with a grain of salt too.
Yeah. If you'd like more information on how we do our team meetings, check out our website, marriedwithabusiness.net. There's some information on there, but you can also contact us. I'm sure if you send us an email, you'd love to send them the slides from our presentation.
And I'd love to hear how you guys are doing yours. If somebody out there has a team meeting or a process that they love, we'd love to have you share that with us as well, because we only get better if we keep talking about what's working and what's not.
So check that out. Visit our website, marriedwithabusiness.net. Also, if you like any of these books that we keep talking about, we talk about a lot of books. We listen to a lot of books. And if you like any of these books, we'll give you a free 30 days of Audible on us. Just go to audibletrial.com/bizmarried. Sign up there. You get a free 30 days. You could listen to Ideal Team Player by Patrick Lencioni, which I'm sure we've told you to listen to before, but that's a great book that talks about helping you finding those people that fit right into your team the proper way. Like we talked about, humble, hungry, smart. So it's a great way to check out books.
Yeah, there's a lot of great resources, and especially in that book, that have helped us change our hiring process.
Yeah, so go and download it for free on us if you go to audibletrial.com/bizmarried. Biz Married, you get a free 30 days of Audible. We got a lot of great stuff coming up this season, Allison, on the show. We've got some great interviews with people. We're going to talk about divorce.
Yep.
Well, we are. No, we're not talking about divorce, but we're going to talk to somebody.
We're talking about divorce.
We're going to talk to somebody about divorce.
We're not talking about getting divorced.
No. We've got some great husband and wife teams that are going to be on. So lots of great episodes coming out here through the winter and into the spring.
Yeah, so check out the website. You can listen to past episodes. We've got resources. We've got information on accountability groups.
Yeah, so check us out on our website, marriedwithabusiness.net. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, all those social medias. Just search @BizMarried or just look Married with a Business up. You'll find us there. So lots of great stuff coming up this season. So glad that you're back along for the ride after we took a few months off to get through the holidays, really. So thanks, everybody. We'll be back with another show soon. And remember, not only is it important to focus on your business, but also your marriage, because we're married with a business.